Before we go any deeper, I need you to listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you might sting a little. Every man who has had his heart broken, drained, manipulated, or emotionally exhausted wishes he had recognized the signs earlier. And if you stay with me until the very end of this video, I'm going to reveal something most men never learn until it's too late. Something that could protect your future, your mind, and your dignity. But first, imagine this. You're standing in front of the woman you adore. You've invested your time, your energy, your loyalty, and a piece of your soul. Yet somehow, something feels off. You can't explain it, but your chest feels heavy. Your confidence is fading, and you don't even recognize yourself anymore. That hollow feeling inside you, that quiet confusion, that fear of losing her even when she's already slipping away, that's the psychological red flag most men ignore. And it's the exact signal that you may be falling for a type of woman who will never love you back in a healthy way. As a psychologist, I've seen confident men become shadows of themselves simply because they didn't know the patterns to avoid. And I'll be honest with you, some women, not all but a very specific subset, use emotional pressure points the way a pianist uses keys. They press the right ones at the right time. Your protector instinct, your loyalty, your desire to feel chosen, your need to feel respected. And before you notice, the dynamic shifts. She's in control, you're confused, and the entire relationship becomes a slow drip of self-doubt. You're not weak for falling for it. You're not foolish. You're human. And men, good men, are especially vulnerable when a woman knows exactly how to attach herself to your emotional wiring. And that's why this video exists. Not to judge women, not to shame anyone, but to teach you how to recognize the behavior patterns that lead to emotional destruction, so you don't waste years of your life trying to fix someone who benefits from keeping you broken. If you're watching this right now, I want you to hear this as if I'm sitting directly in front of you, looking you in the eyes as a professional who understands both sides. Your heart is powerful, your loyalty is valuable, your intention to love deeply is a strength, not a weakness. But the world has always told men to tough it out, be strong, don't complain. And because of that, men fall silently into relationships that drain them, relationships that manipulate their insecurities, relationships where affection becomes a reward for obedience instead of a natural expression of care. I'm going to help you break that cycle. But before we get into the types of women you must avoid falling in love with, I need one thing from you. If you're ready to learn the deeper psychological patterns behind attraction, manipulation, and emotional power, then make sure you subscribe and like this video. It helps more men hear the truth no one else is telling them, and it supports the work I do here for you. Now take a breath, focus, because what comes next might change the way you choose women for the rest of your life. There's a kind of woman every man thinks he can save. You see the softness in her smile, the sadness in her eyes, and something inside you, the protector, the fixer, the man who wants to lift others, activates instantly. She becomes your mission. You want to be the reason she heals, the one who finally treats her right, the man who shows her what love should feel like. But here's the truth most men refuse to accept. The woman you're trying to rescue can unintentionally destroy you in the process. I'm talking about the perpetually wounded woman. She isn't bad. She isn't malicious. She isn't even trying to manipulate you. But she carries emotional wounds so deep that any man who gets close becomes collateral damage. Her past becomes your present. Her triggers become your responsibilities. Her fears become your limitations. And slowly, you begin shrinking yourself just to make her feel safe. When you first meet her, she may open up quickly, too quickly. She tells you heartbreaking stories about her ex, her childhood, her trauma, her betrayals, and you feel honored, chosen, trusted. But what you don't realize is that she isn't building intimacy. She's building dependency. Not intentionally, not consciously, but emotionally, she's placing you in the role of her healer instead of her partner. You find yourself walking on eggshells, measuring your words, adjusting your tone, carefully monitoring every small action because you don't want to trigger her anxiety, her jealousy, or her emotional spirals. You stop doing things you enjoy because you're afraid it will make her feel abandoned. You stop seeing friends because she feels insecure. You silence your needs because her needs feel heavier, more urgent, more fragile. And bit by bit, the relationship becomes lopsided. You're giving, she's receiving. You're repairing, she's unraveling. You're pouring stability into someone who hasn't learned how to hold it. You begin telling yourself things like, she's been through so much, I can't let her down. She just needs more time. She needs love, not boundaries. She'll get better once she realizes I'm not like the others. But here's the reality you don't want to face. You cannot heal someone who isn't actively healing themselves. And loving someone who is stuck in their wounds can slowly pull you into the same emotional darkness they're trapped in. Again, she is not the villain. Many wounded women are kind, intelligent, nurturing, and capable of enormous love, but only when they've done the work. When they haven't, relationships turn into emotional hospitals where the man becomes the therapist, the caretaker, the stabilizer, and the emotional sponge absorbing everything she hasn't processed. What makes this especially dangerous is how good men are at rationalizing the pain. You convince yourself that your strength makes you responsible for her healing. You tell yourself you're different, that you're built for this, that you can handle it. But deep down, you feel it. The exhaustion, the confusion, the pressure to constantly be the emotionally stronger one. If you're dating a woman who needs rescuing more than she wants partnership, you must step back, not abandon her, not shame her, but recognize that your love cannot substitute for her self-work. You deserve a relationship where you're not constantly carrying someone's emotional history on your back. This truth is uncomfortable, but necessary. There are women you love because they inspire you. And there are women you love because you want to save them. Only one of those leads to a healthy future. There's another type of woman men fall for far more often than they admit, and she is the most confusing one of all. At first, she seems exciting, bold, confident, and emotionally unpredictable in a way that feels addictive. She is the woman who can make your heart race with a single glance, the woman whose attention feels like a reward, and whose silence feels like punishment. She doesn't intend to manipulate you. Her psychology simply operates in extremes. And if you're not careful, those extremes can pull you into a cycle that feels like love but functions like instability. This is the emotionally volatile woman, the woman whose feelings swing fast and hard. One moment she's affectionate, passionate, fully present, and the next she's distant, irritated, or overwhelmed. You never quite know where you stand with her, and that uncertainty becomes part of the attraction. You start chasing consistency, hoping to get back the version of her who made you feel chosen and desired. But you never know when that version will reappear. In the beginning, she might tell you things like, I feel things deeply. I have a big heart, but I get overwhelmed. I love hard, but I shut down when I'm scared. And it sounds poetic, intense, romantic, but over time, that emotional intensity becomes a weather pattern you live under, unpredictable storms followed by startlingly beautiful sunshine. Without realizing it, you start organizing your behavior around her emotional climate. When she's happy, you're relieved. When she's upset, you feel responsible. When she withdraws, you blame yourself. When she comes back, you feel grateful instead of simply valued. Her affection becomes a high. Her withdrawal becomes a low. And your nervous system, yes, physically, adapts to the volatility. You become addicted not to her, but to the relief you feel when her mood finally swings back in your favor. It's the same psychological pattern that makes inconsistent rewards so powerfully binding. She isn't trying to hurt you. Many emotionally volatile women are genuinely kind-hearted, but they struggle to regulate their own internal world. Their intensity is real, not calculated, and because of that, the relationship becomes a roller coaster. You feel alive, but never grounded. You feel wanted, but never secure. You feel connected, but constantly uncertain. And here's the part men rarely acknowledge. At some point, you begin confusing emotional intensity with emotional depth. Intensity feels like passion, so you assume it means love. But depth is stability, consistency, clarity, not chaos. The danger is subtle. You become so focused on keeping the peace that you stop expressing your true feelings. You start minimizing your needs because you don't want to trigger another wave. You hold your breath emotionally, hoping that this time, things will stay calm. You begin accepting behaviors you would never tolerate from anyone else, because when she's loving, she's incredible. And that version of her keeps you hooked, even though it only shows up part-time. Good men get trapped in this cycle more than anyone realizes, because you want to support her, you want to understand her, you want to be patient. But love shouldn't require you to sacrifice your emotional stability. If a woman's heart feels like a place where you must constantly earn safety, clarity, or reassurance, it's not love. It's unpredictability dressed as passion. And a relationship built on unpredictability will always drain you more than it fulfills you. You deserve a connection where calm doesn't feel boring, where stability doesn't feel like a downgrade, and where love isn't something you have to chase just to feel secure. There is a woman whose presence feels almost hypnotic. She walks into your life with charm so natural, confidence so polished, and emotional awareness so sharp that you don't realize what's happening until you're already invested. Men fall for her faster than they fall for anyone else, because she knows exactly how to make you feel seen, admired, and chosen. But beneath that magnetic glow lies a pattern that can quietly drain a man's self-worth. This is the self-centered charmer, the woman who is irresistibly captivating but emotionally unavailable in every meaningful way. In the early days, she gives you just enough warmth to pull you in. She laughs at your jokes. She compliments your ambition. She calls you different, refreshing, interesting. And because she knows how to read people quickly, she mirrors your best traits back to you. It feels like chemistry, destiny, a perfect match. But what you're actually responding to is her ability to make the moment feel electric. But here's the truth. She loves attention more than connection, admiration more than partnership, validation more than intimacy. She isn't malicious. Many self-centered charmers don't even realize the pattern they're repeating. They genuinely enjoy people, but they enjoy the feeling of being desired even more. And because of that, the relationship becomes subtly one-sided. You'll notice it in small ways first. She dominates conversations. Her problems take priority. Your needs become optional. Your accomplishments become background noise unless they elevate her social image. Her interest spikes only when the spotlight is on her. When you talk about your dreams, she listens, but only long enough to tie the conversation back to her own goals. When you're struggling, she'll offer sympathy, but rarely support. When you need emotional presence, she'll disappear, only to return with charm so bright that you forget why you were upset. She gives affection in moments, not patterns. Attention in bursts, not consistency. Appreciation when convenient, not when needed. And you, as a man who values loyalty and depth, find yourself working overtime to maintain her interest. You try harder, you invest more, you overlook more. You keep hoping that if you just give her enough care, enough love, enough stability, she'll reciprocate. But here's the psychological trap. A self-centered charmer doesn't fall in love with people. She falls in love with how people make her feel. Your effort becomes her expectation. Your sacrifices become her baseline, and your emotional hunger becomes your normal. You might start to notice that she often chooses experiences over emotional responsibility. She wants admiration, excitement, novelty. She thrives on being pursued, validated, and affirmed. But when the relationship demands mutual effort, accountability, or vulnerability, she retreats, not dramatically, not angrily, just quietly, subtly, casually, because she's simply not built to carry emotional weight that doesn't benefit her directly. Over time, you begin to feel invisible in a relationship where you're constantly present. You feel lonely with a woman who is physically beside you but emotionally unreachable. You feel drained because you're giving energy to someone who mistakes your devotion for a renewable resource with no limit. And the hardest truth? A self-centered charmer isn't healed by more attention. She isn't transformed by your loyalty. She doesn't suddenly become reciprocal after enough time. She becomes more comfortable taking because you keep giving. You don't need a relationship where your value is measured by how well you serve someone else's ego. You deserve a connection where your emotional needs matter just as much as your emotional strengths, and where love flows in both directions instead of one. There's a woman whose influence doesn't reveal itself at the beginning. She doesn't overwhelm you with intensity. She doesn't pull you into emotional storms. She doesn't charm you with grand gestures or dramatic affection. Instead, she enters quietly, soft-spoken, kind, thoughtful, supportive, the type of woman who makes you feel safe at first. But underneath that calm exterior is a pattern that can slowly strip away your confidence, your purpose, and your identity without you ever realizing it's happening. This is the subtly controlling woman, the woman who guides you with gentle hands but firm expectations, whose influence feels like care but operates like constraint. She rarely raises her voice. She rarely makes demands outright. She rarely argues directly. Instead, she guides your choices through something far more effective: quiet disapproval, emotional withdrawal, or a soft suggestion wrapped in concern. She'll say things like, "I just want what's best for you. I don't think that friend really supports you. I'm not telling you what to do, but I feel uneasy when you go there. You're so much better when you listen to your instincts, which usually match mine." At first, it feels like she's helping you improve. She encourages you to cut off negative influences, change habits, drop certain hobbies, stop talking to specific people, or adopt new routines. And because her requests are subtle, you rarely question them. You think she's being supportive, caring, attentive, but slowly your world begins shrinking. Your friends see you less. Your goals shift without you noticing. Your independence fades in small increments. Your decisions start revolving around what keeps her comfortable. Your personality becomes shaped by her emotional landscape. What makes this type of woman so psychologically complex is that she genuinely believes she's doing what's right. She's not trying to control you in a malicious way. In her mind, she's guiding, helping, or protecting the relationship. Her need for emotional security expresses itself through influence, subtle influence that can be mistaken for love. But control is still control, even when it's soft. You begin adjusting your tone to avoid disappointing her. You choose your words carefully to avoid the look of quiet hurt she gives you. You limit your actions to avoid that silent tension she creates when she disagrees. You start predicting her reactions before you make any decision, big or small. And the dangerous part is that this type of control feels so gentle that you don't recognize it until the cost becomes heavy. You start feeling guilt for wanting your own space. You start feeling selfish for expressing your needs. You start feeling disloyal for having boundaries. You start feeling wrong for wanting a life outside the relationship. Eventually, you don't even need her disapproval. You internalize it. You become the enforcer of her expectations. You silence yourself before she needs to. A man loses confidence not when someone attacks it, but when someone shapes it quietly. And here's the truth: good men struggle with. Love should never require you to reduce yourself. Care should never feel like obedience. Support should never limit your freedom. A healthy partner wants you to grow outward, not inward, to expand, not shrink, to build a life that includes her, not revolves around her. You deserve a relationship where your decisions are respected, your independence is valued, and your identity remains fully yours. There is one more type of woman men fall in love with far too easily. Not because she is manipulative, not because she is dramatic, and not because she is overly controlling, but because she is brilliant at giving you exactly what you've been starving for. She studies you without trying. She listens deeply. She mirrors your values. She shows interest in your dreams. And before you realize it, you don't just feel understood, you feel chosen in a way no one else has ever made you feel. This is the idealized illusion woman, not a bad woman, not a dangerous woman, but a woman whose connection with you is built more on projection than reality. She presents herself as everything you've been searching for, because she subconsciously adapts to the version of you she wants to keep close. At first, it feels perfect. She seems compatible with every part of your personality. Your humor, she gets it instantly. Your passions, she admires them. Your goals, she aligns herself with them. Your past, she sympathizes with it. You begin thinking, where has she been all my life? But here's the truth most men don't recognize until the bond is deep. She isn't showing you who she is. She's showing you who she thinks you want her to be. And that illusion feels intoxicating. She agrees when she doesn't truly agree. She adapts even when it makes her uncomfortable. She becomes accommodating to avoid losing you. She shapes herself around your expectations instead of expressing her true ones. You believe you've met the perfect match. She believes she must maintain the perfect mask. But masks always crack. Not because she wants to deceive you, but because no one can maintain a performance forever, especially when real feelings develop. And when the illusion drops, two painful things can happen. You feel betrayed because she's not who you thought she was. She feels exhausted because she can't keep being someone she isn't. And suddenly, the relationship that felt effortless now feels confusing. She becomes inconsistent, withdrawn, uncertain. She may even pull away without giving a clear reason, not because she's lost interest, but because she's overwhelmed by the pressure of living up to the version of herself she created for you. This type of woman often struggles with expressing her needs, setting boundaries, or risking conflict. She fears disappointing people. She fears not being enough. She fears losing connection. And so she over-accommodates, over-pleases, and over-adjusts until she emotionally burns out. From your perspective, it feels like she changed overnight. From her perspective, she finally ran out of emotional energy to keep performing. This is why so many men end up heartbroken without ever understanding what happened. They fall in love with the fantasy she unintentionally crafted, not the person she truly is. But hear this clearly. She is not the villain. She isn't manipulative. She isn't playing games. She's battling her own fear of rejection, her own pressure to be perfect, her own struggle to believe she deserves love as her authentic self. The real danger is this. When you fall in love with an illusion, you overlook the real person standing behind it. And when she finally shows you who she truly is, her insecurities, her flaws, her unmet needs, you may feel blindsided. A healthy relationship cannot exist when either person is afraid to be human. You deserve authenticity, not performance. You deserve honesty, not adaptation. You deserve a partner who shows up as herself, not as a reflection of your ideal. So here's the truth I promised you at the beginning of this video. The truth most men never hear until it's too late. It's not just about avoiding the wrong types of women. It's about choosing the woman who can love you without losing herself. And choosing her requires you to be the man who values truth over fantasy, depth over excitement, and connection over projection. If this video opened your eyes, if it helped you understand yourself or your past relationships even a little, then make sure you subscribe, like, and share this with another man who needs to hear it. Because the strongest men aren't the ones who endure the wrong love. They're the ones who choose the right one with clarity, confidence, and self-respect.